Your brain is divided into two halves. Each half of your brain has millions of factory workers on each side. At the forefront of each one of those factories is a forming positive and you got forming negative. You're the boss of the factory. You wake up in the morning and you say, man, I don't feel myself today. Forming negative hears that. He said, hey, the boss just woke up and said he's having a bad day today. Let's get to work. And your day starts tumbling into what you ordered. You could wake up in the morning and you say, you know what? Today is going to be a great day today. Man, thank you, Lord, for waking me up this morning. Forming positive turns around and goes, Steve's having a great day today. He's expecting some wonderful things to happen. And man, let's get it going. And they start manufacturing thoughts. You have got to change the way you think. It is the whole determining factor of where you go in life.
So you make up what the future is. If your present is painful, you can escape to the past and get out of the pressure to change. How many follow this? Say I. Or you can escape to a future because no one knows what it is for sure and you can make it up. But if your brain links, it's been painful in the what? Past, in the, and it's even worse in the, it changes like that. Who here has ever stayed in a relationship that you knew was not right for you? It wasn't right for you, it wasn't right for them. Who has ever stayed in a relationship way too long? Who's done this before? Raise your hand. Say I. It wasn't good for you, it wasn't good for them, yet you stayed. Why? Why? Because even though it's painful in the present, what'd you do? You said, it'll get better over there in the future. Who finally changed? Who here finally changed that? Say I. How'd you do it? Your brain went, it's painful now, it was painful in the past, it's gonna be worse in the future, that's it! That's what I call a Dickens pattern. When you lock in pain in all those places, there's no place to escape, so you change. It's like if you put a wall here, and a wall here, and we close them in on you, amazingly, you'll move forward. That's what we're talking about. Giving yourself leverage on yourself that way, not having someone else do it to you, you do it to yourself. That's when you got the power again.
If you look at a business, the chokehold on the growth of any business is always the psychology and the skill set of the leader. And it's 80% psychology and 20% mechanics, meaning so many small businesses, the owner might be an incredible innovator. Maybe they write incredible code. Maybe they're a tremendous influencer, but they don't know the economic side of their business, right? And they find themselves getting in trouble because somebody's giving them financial information after the fact. They don't have true financial intelligence to make decisions, and they get caught up.
Can you give me an example of a business like that? You don't have to name names.
Yeah, no, I'll pick my own examples. I had several companies early in my career that were near bankruptcy because I would sit down and I knew how to produce products that would change people's lives. I knew how to market. I knew how to build teams of people. But what I didn't know was finance. So I'd look and say, okay, how are we doing? I go, oh, you got a great, you got a 20% profit. You got $2 million in profit in those days, little tiny company. And I come to the end of the year, there was no cash, right? I didn't know that profit is a theory, right? And so just not having that skill, or someone might be really great in finance, but they're not any good in marketing. So sometimes it's a skill problem, but 80% of it, you can solve those skills. You can get those skills if you can change your psychology. But when you accept that, oh my God, the market's down, or oh my God, the economy in our area is down, when you allow the environment to control your psychology, you're not going to win. I always tell people, I said, tell me your schedule. And they'll go, well, I go to work and I work 9 to 5 and I come home, I'm exhausted. And so, when am I going to start a business? I said, well, what about the other 8-hour shift? Because that's what I did, right? I had to be able to work from 8 to 5 in a normal job, and then I started working as a janitor because I worked my own hours in the middle of the night. But I worked 8 to 5, and literally I'd come home, I'd get a bite to eat, and then I'd start my work at 6 p.m., 6:30 p.m., and I go from 6:30 to 2 a.m. And I'd get another 7-8 hours in, and that's how I built everything in the beginning. That's honestly what's required. And to not do that is to cheat yourself, because in the end, what we get will never make us happy. It doesn't matter what you get. Doesn't matter whether it be money or opportunity. All those things might excite you for the moment. Even a relationship, as magnificent it may be, might be exciting for a while. But if you don't keep growing, that relationship isn't going to stay exciting. So the secret to real happiness is progress. Progress equals happiness. And if we can make progress on a regular basis, we feel alive. And that's why at the beginning of the year, we get this thing like, okay, I can have this fresh start. I could really do what my soul desires. I could expand. I could grow. I could improve. I could change. Or maybe better than change, I could progress. See, Think about that. Progress is an aliveness to it, doesn't it? You don't have to work at changing. People say all the time now, well, I'm working on changing. Don't worry about it. You don't have to work on changing. Change is automatic. Your body's going to change whether you want it or not as the years go by. And no matter how hard you work, there's going to be some changes going on there. The economy is going to change no matter what you want it to do. The weather is going to change. Relationships are going to change. Everything in life is always changing. We don't have to work on change. Change is automatic, but progress is not. So if you want to make real progress, then you really got to look at your life in a different way. You got to say, I got to take control of this process and not just hope it's going to work out like people do who make a resolution. Progress equals happiness. If you're not growing, you're dying inside.
It takes courage to enjoy yourself. What are some of the self-defeating behaviors that we become involved in that prevent most people from enjoying themselves? Some people develop the "what's the use" attitude. Why bother? Some people have the "I really don't care." And they convince themselves that they don't care and they don't feel anything. And after a while, they really don't feel anything. Their lives are empty. Some people say, well, it's really not worth the hassle. Just too hard. It doesn't bother me anymore. The fact that I'm not living out my dream. The fact that I'm capable of doing more and I'm not doing it. The fact that I'm content but I'm not fulfilled. The fact that I'm not living my dream. Tom Rusk and Randy Reed, in a book called I Want to Change But I Don't Know How, said people go through life many times playing it safe. He says that's the secret hope, that they say to themselves, if I never let myself feel too good, maybe I'll never get hurt too badly. A lot of people don't ever do the things they're capable of doing because they allow themselves to go along with the crowd, following the crowd. Many people have things they want to do, and they find themselves in relationships with people who are addicted to mediocrity, and they allow their behavior to influence their behavior. Following the crowd. Many people don't do it because of the fact that they allow their lack of self-confidence to immobilize them. I remember when I wanted to go into business for years, that was an agonizing thought in my mind. I wouldn't try it because I didn't believe that I could make it. Of the 5 things that you would like to do, if you had the courage to do, I want you to pick one thing. Pick one. And here's how to set it up for yourself that will help free you and get you unstuck. What is the worst thing that can happen if you do it? What's the worst thing that can happen? Let's say going into business for yourself, or changing careers, or getting a divorce, taking some kind of chance of something that you've always thought about doing, but you just haven't done it for whatever reason. What's the worst thing that can happen? Do the worst case scenario. Now, when you do the worst case scenario, you write those things down, the worst things that you fear would happen. When you name your fears, that puts you in control. What are you afraid of? Name it, write it out so you can look at it. Confront that fear. What is it? I'm afraid that things might work out. What else, Les? Well, I've never been in business, okay? What else, Les? Well, I don't have all the help I need, okay? Good. What else, Les? Well, I don't have enough money, all right? Good. What else, Les? Well, I don't have a college degree. What else? I'm not as good as those other guys that I've seen up there speaking, okay? What else? Well, that's all I can think of right now. Okay, good. Now that takes you to the next step. What are the benefits? What are the benefits of your acting courageously, taking life on? Well, part of what happened was that I felt better within myself, and I had a strong sense of self-respect. Going into business for myself, I made a lot of mistakes. Sometimes I was down on myself. I felt stupid. I felt dumb because people who were in business said, why would you do something like that? Well, I didn't know. Boy, were you really dumb. And I used to chime in with them. Yes, I guess I was. I didn't know any better. But the other thing is, I had to say to myself, but I did it. I did, even if I made a flop of it, I did it. I took the chance. I took the leap. What are the benefits of your acting courageously? Whatever it is that you've identified. Write the benefits down and then focus on them. Focus on the benefits, not on the liabilities, not on your fears. Focus on the benefits. That which you hold in consciousness tends to manifest itself. Think about how good you feel. Think about the level of increased self-respect, the sense of self-worth that you'll feel how good you feel getting up in the morning, looking yourself in the mirror, because you're taking life on. The other thing is acknowledge your fears and then go into action. This book is called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. That's it. See, I believe anybody who's ever done anything, who's ever taken a chance, doesn't mean that they're not afraid. Courageous does not mean being the absence of fear. I think that being courageous is willing to do it because that's what you feel, and you're going to do it anyhow, regardless. So you're not going to be immobilized by your fears or your doubts. You admit, okay, I'm scared to death. Now, okay, what is it that I must choose to do? Go ahead and experience that fear, but don't let that fear immobilize you. In what you've done with your life thus far, is it giving you what you want? Is it giving you what you want? When you look toward the future, when you look at all that's going on out here, is there some place within yourself you say, hey, I know I need to be out there in that arena. I know I can do more than what I've been doing. I know there's some great music that I have within me that I haven't brought out here yet. Is that something that you begin to look at within yourself?
Life is not just a passing of time. Life is a collection of experiences, their intensity and their frequency. Here's what else your game plan must include: your lifestyle. Here's where we plan to go. If you don't put it on the calendar, if you keep doing it like I used to do years ago, called someday. Here was the other one: as soon as. See, that means almost nothing. I tell my girls, as soon as. They knew this wasn't, probably never. As soon as we get ahead, as soon as we get a little extra money, as soon as. There's a lot of things you cannot wait till as soon as. You got to work them in to your game plan. And just commit yourself to both the lifestyle and the business activity and your career. Career, lifestyle, family, spirituality, health, all that's important in your game plan. And here's what's difficult: to try to keep it all in your head. Because the head is full of good intentions. The head is full of hope. Oh, it's going to work. As soon as we get this paid off, it's going to work. Say, no, let's put it on the game plan. Right? I talked this morning, right? Someone says, I got my to be debt-free worked out. Been working on it 1.5 years, and within a couple of years, it'll all be done. Oh, nothing. My father said that. Let's get a plan for you to be debt-free, debt-free, debt-free. Because Papa said, there's nothing like the freedom of no one having a claim on your assets. I said, well, I want to get there someday. I remember the day I crossed the line, debt-free. My parents left me their estate in Idaho. Guess how many debts? Not the automobiles, not the farm, not the land, not the house, not the properties, nothing. See, isn't that a bit unusual? But isn't that a bit exciting? Unbelievable for somebody to have that kind of unique consistency in their plan, wanting to leave it debt-free. Don't have to worry. It's incredible. So, you work on a plan for debt-free. You work on a plan for your investments. You get a game plan that'll work for you so that all the bases are covered and the balance is right. Yes, it's going to get out of balance. When you're balancing your time, here's what you must remember. Sometimes you must work around the clock like spring. Round the clock. Why? It's springtime. So a lot of things have to be set aside till the spring is finished. Or until the harvest is in. Because you can't postpone the harvest while you do some fun things. You got to do the harvest and then some fun things.
Your biggest enemy, the most important conversation you will ever have in your life is the one you have with yourself. You wake up with it, you walk around with it, you go to bed with it. Eventually, you're going to act on it, whether you're good or bad. You have to. That's why the whole thing about this book I have is about you. It is about you. It's strictly about you finding who you are. So many people die, live 100 years, never know who they are. Never know who they are. You have to look in that mirror and know there's so much more in here, man. Because I can literally right now be a 300-pound guy spraying for cockroaches. Still to this day, if I did not look in that mirror and say, there has to be more to this. This can't be it. And then willing to go into it, dive deep into it, and give all I have to find it.
The law of Goya is simply get off your ass. So if you think and you believe and you emotionalize, you visualize, and you create your plan for how am I actually going to achieve this? So what do I need to do? When am I going to do it? How specifically? How am I going to tweak it, measure it, and iterate it so that I'm consistently making progress? I learned the value of progress versus perfection. None of my mentors ever had me focus on perfection. They had me focus on progress to just keep getting better. Little incremental gains every day, every week, every month, every quarter. And even when you move backwards a couple of steps, what's the progress that you made and what you learned? So I was taught that failure is an opportunity to learn. And I was also taught to disassociate me being a failure from failing.
I want to encourage somebody out there who's thinking about quitting and giving up. Somebody who has been praying for years for things to turn around. You're thinking about quitting. You're thinking about giving up. You are caving in. This is for you.
I'm in a fight for my life. I'm in a fight to be a man. I'm in a fight to be a father. I'm in a fight to be a mama. Something in me wants to quit it and walk away. I'm in a fight. Give me somebody in here.
Don't give up. Don't give up. Stay in it. Stay focused.
You need to change your mind because some of you are thinking about giving up because you're in a season of failure. But just because you failed doesn't mean that God doesn't have a bright future in store for you. It is always too soon to quit.
He wants you to give up and think nothing can grow there. The devil is a lie. The darkness is not real.
This is not the time to throw in the towel. This is not the time to give up. It's the time to trust God more, to dig in deeper.
The joy is not in the success. The joy is in trying. The joy is in the process, that I'm going to keep working. I'm going to keep going at it. See, failure is forming my future. Failure is just another peg in the ladder for me to go higher. I don't want to just know how to make it work. I want to know why it doesn't work. And the only way I can find that out is I got to fall on my face. But guess what? The righteous man falls 7 times, but he gets back up.
Everybody has something that strikes terror in them to do it. Whatever you got hurt at, whatever you got damaged in, it's the thing that you struggle to do. Those strongholds come against you every time you try to move outside of your little prison. And people think you are angry, but the anger is the fruit. The root is the fear. Most angry people are scared. Pull it by the root. Strongholds, casting down imaginations, envisioning self-destruction, the enemy terrorizing you with what he might do.
When I'm discouraged, I need somebody to come alongside me to encourage me that weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. That kind of talk wakes up my faith. It stirs my faith to know that no matter how dark my situation, God can work it out.
I'm telling you, it's possible to be weak. It's possible to feel overwhelmed, outnumbered, out-resourced. It's possible to feel discouraged. It's possible to be going through something that you've never gone through. And if you were to be honest, would say, I am weak this day, yet I'm still anointed king.
I just want to tell you, don't let this chapter that you're going through make you in your story. Don't let depression lie to you and tell you that you're not enough, that tells you that there's no more better days, that tells you that your best days are behind you, that tells you you're a nobody, that tells you that you're better off dead. Don't let it lie to you, because it's been lying to you so long that you're starting to believe that's true. You're starting to live that out.
Good intentions are worthless. Worthless, folks. When are you going to fall out of love with good intentions? Good intentions are worthless unless they lead to good actions. Nobody ever had their life changed by somebody hoping, thinking. Good intentions are not enough.
Because there are some things in your life that you are not ready to turn loose. There are some sins you're not ready to get rid of. There are some issues and some hang-ups that is stunning your spiritual growth. You can't be all God wants you to be with some stuff you're still hiding.
It's time for you to dig up all those seeds of doubt, all those seeds of lies. And at this moment, replace those seeds with seeds of faith. And how you do that is just simply this. How you fight your depression is just simply this. You tell yourself, yeah, I'm going through this, but at least I'm not dead. Find a way to find appreciation. Somebody has it worse. Somebody wants your life as bad as you think that it is. Somebody's praying to be in your shoes, and you're still here. So I want you to keep fighting. You find any reason to survive right now, to make it to see tomorrow.
That drive and that attitude of never quit, it's a powerful force, and it does push you over the edge to victory in many cases. But over that attitude, you have to layer something on top of that. It's basically strategic vision and understanding of the battlefield as a whole. So you absolutely need to know when you got to stop beating your head against the wall. You've got to know that.
You got to do battle with your own indifference. Boy, it's easy to coast, especially if you've accomplished something, extraordinary. Now, somebody says, I got to relax. Here's the key, not too long. You got to make those decisions. The ones that don't turn out to be good gives you experience to make better decisions. Don't let much time go by without making some decisions. The ones that you can make quickly, make them quickly. The ones that take time, take your time. Don't let indecision be an enemy, rob you of the future, empty your bank account. Don't let that happen.
You have to make a decision that I will learn from this thing. I've resolved in my spirit that every experience is my education. So the good experiences and the bad experiences, I'm going to learn from that, and I'm going to discover the opportunity for me to grow and for me to get better. I'm telling you, I've already made up my mind that I know I will fall down. I know that I will stumble, but I already see myself getting back up. Therefore, I'm never down. I'm either up or getting back up. I'm going to learn.
You got to go through some things in order for you to get faith. You've got to have some life experiences under your belt so you can talk about how strong your faith is. Because if your faith has never been tested, you can't brag on how strong it is.
Anxiety, it makes us feel out of control, and we're trying to put things in order. And so often the very thing that we're afraid of, it's not even as bad as fear itself. Fear is always false evidence appearing real. And when you abide in fear, you're gonna always be running for your life. That's why we're the people of God, and we focus on our faith, because our faith always leads us to life, and life more abundantly.
Somebody needs to know today you're going to make it. Somebody needs to know today you're doing all right. You may not be what you ought to be, but you're not what you used to be. And you're going to get there by God's grace. Don't you give up, don't you quit, and don't you keep putting yourself down. You're doing better than you think you are.
Yet what I'm learning more and more in life is that it's fear that causes anxiety. The other side of the coin from depression is always anxiety. Anxiety has this ability to stretch your soul thin, and you feel out of control. Depression, on the other hand, is when you feel like your life is being constricted inward and darkness is enveloping over you. Typically, if you have any level of anxiety, depression will follow. If you have depression, anxiety is right around the corner. Having anxiety and depression is like being scared and tired at the same time. It's the fear of failure, but no urge to be productive. It's wanting friends, but hate socializing. It's wanting to be alone, but not wanting to be lonely. It's feeling everything at once, then feeling paralyzing numb.
What story do I want to tell later down the road? See, every stage in our life becomes a story. At some point, you will end up telling it. We have to remember that the decisions that we make today will be a part of our life story tomorrow. So as you're making the decision, you got to ask yourself, what story do I want to tell a little bit later down the road? And if what you're doing does not line up with what you think you want to tell a little bit later, then you might want to rethink what you are doing.
Boring, stupid, basic, but it's the truth. The only thing that changes our life long term is when we raise our standards. What does that mean? That sounds so boring and dumb. It means that all of us in life have things we want. We don't get what we want. We get what we have to have. Remember I said earlier, we all get what we tolerate in ourselves and other people. But when you're no longer willing to tolerate something, that's when your life changes. The difference in people is their standards, period.
If you want to begin to really enjoy a happy, successful, healthy life, you've got to be willing to go against the tide. You've got to be willing to harness your will and say, in spite of this, I'm in control here. I'm not going to let this get me down. I'm not going to let this destroy me. I'm coming back, and I'll be stronger and better because of it. You have got to make a declaration that this is what you stand for. You're standing up for your dreams. You're standing up for peace of mind. You're standing up for health. You want it, and you're going to go all out to have it. Expect things to get better for you, because they are. See, life is cyclic. You're not, whatever experience you're having right now, it has not come to stay. It has come to pass. Not to stay, just to pass. It's just going through. The biggest challenge is to know what's happening. This is a part of this thing we call life. This too shall pass. And maintaining perspective, putting it in perspective.
There's so much knowledge out there, so much information, so many ways to get better. And we make so many mistakes. We're the product of our mistakes. And oftentimes the lesson is sitting there right in front of our face. It's there to be learned, but we miss it, or we don't pay attention to it, or we think we know better until it punches us in the face. And the most important thing to learn is that we have so much to learn. We all do. And we can learn from school and from people and from experience, and we learn from life. You have to process the information. You have to absorb it. You have to accept it. You have to open your mind. You gotta free your mind so that you can learn and make real progress. And as far as regrets and things I wish I would have done differently, of course, who wouldn't want to take another go at something and improve on the first try by doing it again? And then why not do it again and again and again? And why not just do it over and over again until you have it perfect? But the fact is, you don't get that chance. You get one shot at this gig right here, life. that storm that you're in, it seems like that storm is enveloping the whole world. Hard to see out of that storm. It's hard to see past it. It seems like the storm is everything. You can get out of the storm, and you will get out of the storm. But right now, you're being tried. You're being forged. You're being tested by fire and by pain. Don't fail the test.
Now listen to me. I don't care if you're sick. I don't care what you're going through. If you're not dead, he ain't through with you yet. As long as you waking up, you still in the game. You can still make it happen. As long as that breath in your nostrils move, you still in the game. You still can win. Now get your butt up.
You need to change your mind because some of you are thinking about giving up because you're in a season of failure. But just because you failed doesn't mean that God doesn't have a bright future in store for you. It is always too soon to quit.
This is not the time to throw in the towel. This is not the time to give up. It's the time to trust God more, to dig in deeper.
The joy is not in the success. The joy is in trying. The joy is in the process, that I'm going to keep working. I'm going to keep going at it. See, failure is forming my future. Failure is just another peg in the ladder for me to go higher. I don't want to just know how to make it work. I want to know why it doesn't work. And the only way I can find that out is I got to fall on my face. But guess what? The righteous man falls 7 times, but he gets back up.
And if God be for us, who can be against us? There's nothing in this world that can defeat us if God is for us. It is impossible to have victory and think bondage. It's impossible to be happy and think sadness and depression.
And if you're not careful, you will allow situations in this life to cloud your perspective. And you will allow moments in this life to take away the hopes and the dreams of tomorrow. Failure, it's not final, it's formative. It's part of the journey. How are you gonna learn if you don't ever fail? Failure is fuel for your future. Failure is a part of your story. The only time you fail is the last time you try. You need to get the right perspective on it, because this failure, it will not end in death, but this failure is a part of you being formed.
I'm telling you, it's possible to be weak. It's possible to feel overwhelmed, outnumbered, out-resourced. It's possible to feel discouraged. It's possible to be going through something that you've never gone through. And if you were to be honest, would say, I am weak this day, yet I'm still anointed king.
You have to make a decision that I will learn from this thing. I've resolved in my spirit that every experience is my education. So the good experiences and the bad experiences, I'm going to learn from that, and I'm going to discover the opportunity for me to grow and for me to get better. I'm telling you, I've already made up my mind that I know I will fall down. I know that I will stumble, but I already see myself getting back up. Therefore, I'm never down. I'm either up or getting back up. I'm going to learn.
I want to encourage somebody out there who's thinking about quitting and giving up, somebody who has been praying for years for things to turn around. You're thinking about quitting, you're thinking about giving up, you are caving in. This is for you.
When I'm discouraged, I need somebody to come alongside me to encourage me that weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. That kind of talk wakes up my faith. It stirs my faith to know that no matter how dark my situation, God can work it out.
Don't give up. Don't give up. Stay focused.
And that's how you should dream. If it's in your imagination, it's possible. Do you know that you can't think of something that can't happen? You know it's impossible to think of the impossible. It's not possible. So if you think it, it's possible. And if you live your life in possibilities instead of probabilities, you have a greater chance of finding happiness.
I cannot have another year like I had. I cannot sit in this addiction for another 12 months. I refuse to live like this again. Something's got to give. I'm desperate, and I've got a hunger for God that only God can fix and God can fulfill and God can do in my family and in my home. To be slain with the sword is better than to be slain with hunger. Better to go down fighting than to sit there and die.
If you've had a dream, I guarantee you, you were born with that dream woven into your DNA. You see, dreams are deeply personal. And this is important for you to understand, because if you give up on your dream's gonna haunt you.
You know, life will do this to you. Try to label you according to your educational background, according to your ethnicity, according to whether you're a man or a woman, or according to life will try to label you this way. I want to make an announcement. You can't disappoint what God has appointed. You can't disappoint. When God gets ready to do a work in your life, when God gets ready to raise you up. There's things in your life that are necessary, but they're unpleasant. Working out my legs is necessary, but it's unpleasant. Why is it necessary? Because it's the largest muscles in your body. See, what you learn is it's this thing called unintended consequences. You don't know what type of fight you got to face on Tuesday. You don't know what your boss is going to come and say on Friday. But thank God you've been putting in some work on the interior life that when you need to fight, you got some strength.
I'm the kind of person, if I'm going to do it, I'm all in. I'm the kind of person, I don't like being in between. I don't like to be at the back of the line. I want to be in the front of the line, and I'm going to prepare myself and work on myself to be a dominant voice.
Carefully consider how you live. So live wisely, not foolishly. Make the most of your time, because these are difficult days. You need to have a routine. Now, when you're stuck at home, it's so easy to slip into sloppiness. I want you to write this down right now. Routine develops resilience.
You got to resource yourself well, file every day, read every day. And so at 17, I started reading and filing every day, and literally have done it all my life. And one day I began to realize I was relying way too much on those files, that I wasn't as creative and I wasn't testing what I should be testing, because I had a safety net. I go over there and, well, here I got this. And I was starting to read old thoughts, and old thoughts are old thoughts.
Happiness is freedom from the negative children of fear, such as worry, low self-esteem, envy, greed, anger, resentment, and so on. Happiness is an awareness and a grasp of the positive power of life and loving values. It is an order of thought, activity, and lifestyle. Happiness is values in balance. It is contact with people of substance.
Never live your life in probability. Probability is the probability of something happening. There's a statistic attached to a probability. 1 in every 3,000 people do this. That's a probability. A possibility has no stats attached to it. Live your life in possibilities and you'll change it. Just change the way you think.
When the seed is sown into your heart, the devil comes immediately to try to steal the seed that was sown. And I think one of the ways that he does it is by very simply testing you on what you just heard. And we need to get it. Learn a new sentence. This is only a test. Can we practice? Say, this is only a test.
You can't see how the fact that they laid you off from that job was actually preparing you for something, teaching you some things, going to get you some discipline in some areas, and that later on a door would open up that God would use to move you into new dimensions. But you can't see the destiny in the face of the disappointment. Sometimes God will give you enough of the details to get you in the right area, but He won't give you enough specifics where you don't need Him to show you what to do next.
When suffering hits my life, I hope I have been putting into my interior life. But in order to use all those other muscles to face suffering, you're going to actually have to put in and focus on the body and focus on your legs and understand it's leg day. It's going to have some unintended consequences. And His big leg day workout routine for you is this little phrase, live in harmony.
For 29 years, kicking cancer's butt. And still working, still in his right mind, still got the fire in his belly, still being active, still making a difference, still motivating people and inspiring people and making people feel good. If you believe that laughter is important, if you believe being deliberately positive is important, having a spirit of optimism is important in spite of.
I made a decision, a very difficult decision, all of my work for all those years of filing. I made a decision to get rid of all of it. They're not relevant, they're not new, they're not fresh, they don't breathe, there's no fire and passion in them. I'm just going to say to you, one of the good things about a crisis is it begins to help us to let go of the things that we have depended on the past so that we can go to an entire new level of living.
One woman just decided, you know what? You can't take my dignity from me. I can only give that up, and I don't choose to give it up. And I will not go back to the bus. The answer is no. And Rosa Parks changed an entire society because that day she chose to focus on something else. She gave it a different meaning. This is not a command. You do not have control over me. And she decided to fight. And she changed the direction of a country and of many other countries. She started something.
There's another dimension, which is trait conscientiousness, which is integrity and dutifulness, orderliness, industriousness, openness, which is like a hybrid between intellect, intelligence roughly, and creativity. And so you can go there and find out how you compare to other people, and that's kind of interesting and useful because it's kind of useful to know who you are, and to know that that's actually who you are, you know, that you have a nature.
We forget that you don't have to be famous to have the ability to change at least your own personal history, to change the direction we go in our life. We have the power to choose, even if you haven't before. You can finally say, no more, I won't put up with that, within myself or from anybody else. And here's what I'm going to do differently. That's where the breakthroughs really start to happen. Now the question is, why do some people stand their ground and make something change versus other people just kind of accept things?
Happiness is contentment with the tasks of your life. It is thought inspired by, organized with, and rooted in your personal philosophy to become an invaluable form of currency for you to spend and invest in your own better future. Happiness is activity with purpose. It's love in practice.
Need a little pick-me-up today? Welcome to the new Fresh Motivation app, where you'll find daily motivation, daily quotes. Listen to your favorite speeches in the background or with a black screen, so nothing interrupts your motivational moment, where you can create your personal profile, create playlists of your favorite speeches and quotes, add personal notes, and start setting goals. Fresh Motivation, the home of motivation. Get it now for free on Google Play.